Welcome back to another week of the Owatonna Wrestling Weekly Podcast. I'm head coach Derek Johnson, alongside trusty sidekick, if I could call him that. Yeah, Coach Gabe Hovden, middle school assistant coach, freestyle Greco director for the OWA, just wrestling year-round type of coach. Kind of goes wherever's needed to. Regional nationals in the fall, like just kind of everything.
Yeah,
so
wherever you need me, I'm a freelance guy right now.
Yeah.
Just kind of bouncing around.
Right. Kind of taking over, your dad's mantle of just, he
just
lived
here.
it. Yeah, he lived it.
Yep.
Whatever we need, so.
Yep. Yeah, it's part of, it's in my blood.
For sure. Well, and before we get started, I just wanted to thank our sponsor for the podcast, Summer Media Solutions. Thank you to Scott Summer and all he does for the OWA, for all of our social media that you can find on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything like that. The hype videos, every time a podcast drop, he's doing it on multiple different platforms, and so just a jack of all trades with your media solutions. And then we did get to utilize his drone skills with that hype video, and that's something he does for realtors all around southern Minnesota. The evolution of that technology is just so cool. Needed a helicopter, a little tiny plane. They used to do the farm photos and everything like that. So, but he's set up and ready to go really, really fast, and does great work. And I don't know if he sleeps. So there's that.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, Summer Media Solutions. Well, another jam-packed week.
Yeah.
Full blown. Where you guys were Thursday, Saturday.
Yep.
High school was Thursday, Saturday. We kicked off our conference schedule over at Roch Century. So we started with Austin and bowled over them 60-12.
Okay.
And quite frankly, we were really close to not losing a match at all. They have the number, 6 ranked Sam Winkels at 215 in Class AA. And Fitcher gave him all he could handle. It ended up being a 9-2 match, but that was Fitcher, took some last-second shots to kind of. So that just kind of padded the numbers. Otherwise, it was a 2-3 point match the entire way.
Okay.
So that was a good confidence boost. Even shot a blast double on him, and it went out of bounds. And Bill Olson had to do a backward somersault to get out of the way, and both wrestlers stopped. Like, are you okay? And he's like, go wrestle. Like, oh, okay. Well, you almost died. So,
yeah. Them two big guys coming at him.
Right. So it was a great kind of stepping stone and measuring stick for him. And then followed that up with a 57-9 victory, which. Honestly, if people are saying, well, yeah, I mean, that's Rochester Century and everything, they're tough.
Yeah.
They are tough. They gave us everything they had. Joel Messick over there, their head coach and kind of advisor for the Rochester Panthers Wrestling Club, doing great things.
Okay.
So they're an up-and-coming program, a lot of participation. All their kids are strong as heck and wrestle all 3 periods. It's just... right now they just don't have the horses. Yeah. But everybody gave us, a match. And 57-9 there. Those that won undefeated that night are number 7 ranked Kaden Lindquist at 107, Donoven Sorenson at 121, Lane Karsten at 127, Jayden Jirele at 133. I know I put 134. Colton Glende at 139, our 8th grader. Riley Kreeger at 152. RJ Reinardy, who is undefeated on the season right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I mean, being undefeated on the season, he's got to be impressing somebody out there.
Yep, he's really close, and that's the thing is we came close yet again to having a ranked kid for him to go against.
Yeah.
And he didn't. The kid was bumped up a weight.
Oh, then he's nervous. He's scared of it.
Right.
Exactly. That's what I'd say.
Yep. Stillwater, I believe Anoka was the same way, and Scott West. So he just, like I said, he needs that signature win.
Yep.
He needs, to have someone that's ranked and knock him off. I feel like to get in there. And then Max Flemke went undefeated. He's down to 189 now, and Grant Lauer at heavyweight undefeated that night. And then 2 days later, we went over to Prior Lake. For a really good duel that day, or a duel tournament. So we had 3 rounds. The host, Prior Lake, ended up being 23-43. We had an injury default. We had a kid not make weight with no one behind him in the lineup at that exact weight. And then, and we were starting to rally at the end, getting pins and working back into the match. So honestly, 23-43 doesn't tell the tale.
Okay.
We were climbing back in it despite those setbacks. The next round we had number 7 Scott West, and I mean they're one of those small town AA teams that everyone's strong, everyone's fast. But yeah, 18-46, and quite honestly, we're giving up 2 different back-to-back weight classes there. And then Richfield didn't do a full team. That was referee Frost's fastest dual meet ever, and he's been in the game for 30 years. It was 10 minutes and 3 seconds.
Really?
So it was forfeits all the way through 160, and we just boom, 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 and we had JV. We ran and grabbed the whole JV, 107 through 160, so we wouldn't burn a match. Yep. And then, and then everyone else got pins and just kind of flew through. So 10-minute match there. Undefeated on the day, Lane Karsten looked really sharp at 127. Number 5 ranked Lane Karsten. Jayden Jirele at 133. And then RJ. And if those who know RJ have seen him before and everything like that, just a Greco wizard, everything's upper body type of stuff. And so out of his 8 wins, he has 7 pins.
Okay.
But they've all been upper body. So on the last match, when he had a match against Richfield, I told him he's doing circle drills if he goes anything upper body.
Okay, so you made him shoot.
He had to shoot. He had
and
to do
did he take
stuff.
a shot?
He did.
All right.
He was very specific, too. He's like, if I drop to, locking around the butt, does that count? I'm like, yes, that's low enough. That meets the criteria, and, we won't make you work. So it was funny because the whole match, you could tell he was nervous only because of that. He had a pretty he was outclassing that kid. So it was just, and on the day, Kaden Lindquist right off the bat had a very, very huge 107-pounder. Liam Collins for Prior Lake is probably he's only 6th ranked right now, but he's going to place top 3. He's an impressive kid.
Okay.
Fought him really well. It ended up being a major, but just because of back points let up in the first period, and then Kaden, an absolute pest, like a mongoose, climbed back in the match and frustrated the heck out of him, got stall points against Collins and stuff like that. Just worked him to where if there were 4 periods in the match,
probably would have won it.
Yeah,
okay.
He was breaking him. So that was a good kind of moral victory on that one, and kind of proving to himself that despite being undersized at 107 and an 8th grader, he belongs.
Yep.
So that was great. And then Max Flemke, who keeps drawing ranked kids, he had number 4 Dylan Thomas from Scott West. And final score ended up being 8-2. He took a kind of a last-minute shot, so it was really a 4-point match all the way up until the last couple of seconds.
All right.
So fought really hard and just gave up a kind of a quick 2 back points at one point.
Oh, okay.
Kind of separated right there, but otherwise it was just kind of trading shots. I think even the first period might have been scoreless. So,
okay.
Yeah, he was wrestling tough. But this Thursday, for those of you who were looking at the Big 9 schedule before and all of a sudden are surprised to see we have a try at home. Yep. It was supposed to be at JM on Friday, and now it's home here at Owatonna on Thursday the 14th. So we start with Rochester JM at 5 o'clock, and then JM and Faribault go at it at about 6:15, 6:30. And so then we'll have Faribault at 7:45. So we're running 2 mats because it's a try, so Varsity JV run simultaneously, so we won't have the lamp out that night. There is one. Yeah, I just want everyone to know. New high school, yes, there's a gorgeous giant lamp that's up in the rafters right now that you can see if you go to basketball games, and
all right.
We'll be busting that out after the first of the year. So,
all right, well then on to me here.
Yeah.
The middle school, we Thursday we were in Farmington. It was a good night. Couldn't really tell scores because it was Farmington and God, who else? Somebody else was there. I lost it, but everybody got good matches.
Was it Prior Lake? It was someone like that, right?
It was,
like a Navy
I want to
team?
say Coon Rapids, but it wasn't Coon Rapids.
Okay.
Yes, it was Prior Lake.
Yeah,
it was Prior Lake.
I thought that's I think so. I think my dad was there too. I think he said we were about even on the day, like a 10 and 10 as a record.
Yeah, it was really close. I mean, our consistent kids that have been around for a while, they were winning.
Sure.
The newer kids, our goals were just to get like our brand new first year wrestlers.
Yeah.
Let's get a takedown, and you could see the ones that it's finally starting to click on how forceful they got to be, or how aggressive, and they can't just give up once they touch a leg. Oh, no. There's a few that went barn burners all the way down to the third period with 10 seconds left with a couple of them. But then Saturday, we ended up in Ellsworth. We went 1 and 2 on the day. We wrestled Coon Rapids first. We kind of steamrolled them pretty quick. It was 50-30. It was one of them where it was pin or be pinned.
Oh, okay.
And when we I was sending kids out, hey, you got 20 seconds, start hitting some moves, and then start listening again. And there was a little bit of a time where it was a little closer than 50 to 30, and I'm like, told a couple of our upper weights, we need pins, go out and get a pin.
Yeah.
And then our second round, we wrestled Cambridge Asani. The score looks a lot closer than they are a very dominant team.
Okay.
They beat us 54 to 45. Our upper weights brought us back.
Sure. Okay.
But the kids they're still learning. I mean, and it was a dual form. Our exhibition matches were probably my favorite.
Sure.
Watching the newer guys be able to go out there with the team sitting there watching them and cheering them on.
Yeah, that's
not
cool.
like it's where it's an exhibition match, go do it over there. Nope, we did it right in the center of the mat, and they got their time to shine too.
Nice.
And then our last match for third and fourth place was against St. Michael Albertville. That
are they a good team?
Yeah.
Oh,
They're really
Gotcha.
good. They we lost 70 to 12.
Yeah.
It was it was tough. They are a dominant team. They know what they're doing.
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't see too many new kids on their team because they all have been wrestling. If they're
Right.
wrestling, they're starting young and
Sure.
they're sticking it out. On the day we had Mason Sorenson, Will Frantessel, and Finn Buckley. All three of them went undefeated. So the upper weights there, Will and Finn, they will seal the deal for us if we need to.
Okay. Nice.
So this week we are tomorrow night we're in Northfield for our match against Northfield, and then on Saturday we got the Stockwell Invitational here at the high school. Last I heard there is 14 teams coming to this one.
Yeah, I think he was alluding to maybe even 3 on the hook still.
Yes,
So like
yeah,
17.
it could be
maybe.
up to 17. But then again, you never know. Some
Yeah,
team
that's
gets
true.
it could be down to 12.
Yeah, right.
It's middle school, but we're really hoping for that all 14 show up, and the other 3 that show up. It'll be great. It'd be good for the kids to not have to wrestle the same kids at every tournament. I mean, there's going to be teams there we'll never see until next year at the Stockwell tournament. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah,
But
that was a good and to run it on 4 mats now and everything like that, and I'm excited about that. Our new tournament technology, that Pin TV stuff. We flew last year, and it was like even the bracketing and everything was
smooth
to get up and running. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
And then then on Sunday, we have our USA Folk Style tournament Sunday. I know it's a pre-registered tournament. You got to pre-register. USA style wrestling. I mean, it's folk style, but it's just the USA.
Up to 14U.
Yep,
Is that what I heard?
14U. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Schoolboy.
So
nice. Yeah, and same thing. I mean, that's a tournament that runs really smoothly. 2 different sessions, kind of littles and bigs. And
everybody has a
flies.
certain time limit that each age group or each section comes in and they wrestle and in and out.
Nice.
So
Nice. Awesome. Well, that sounds good. How about you hit that
gun
one more
raffle.
time?
Okay.
Yeah.
Gun raffle for the Owatonna Wrestling Association. Coaches, parents, board members are all rolling around with tickets. We're giving away 6 guns. The drawing is January 18th down at Reggie's. You do not need to be present to win.
But you should just
you should,
pop
yeah,
in, grab a drink.
Yep.
The Scala family thanks you.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
So alumni owns that establishment. I can say I'll probably be selling them this whole weekend at every one of our indoor tournaments.
Sure.
So I'll find somebody from Owatonna if you want a ticket, and they'll be able to direct you somewhere to get one.
And there's pancake breakfast tickets out there too. I keep forgetting the date, but rest assured, if you know a wrestler, they have tickets for you. And I believe it's like late January.
Yep.
So.
I couldn't tell you the date of that one.
January 21st. Just popped into my head. Yep.
There you go.
There you go. So, yeah. So, a couple of great opportunities right there around the corner. And, only 500 tickets sold
500
for 5
tickets.
guns.
6 guns.
6 guns? 6 guns.
500 tickets sold. That's it.
Nice. Good odds. Awesome. Well, thank you much. And, we'll be right back. All right. Welcome back to the Owatonna Wrestling Weekly podcast here with Coach Marshall Lindell. A blast from the past, a familiar name to quite a few people in this community, a staple, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the new high school.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this goes a long way from the old wrestling room downstairs when we were lifting weights with tin cans full of cement. It's come a long way.
That's a true story?
That's a true story.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man. So, fill me in a little bit on the years that you were involved, coaching tenure.
I actually came to Owatonna in the fall of 1969.
Okay.
I kind of fell into the coaching thing quite by accident as I was interviewing for my first teaching job after college. I did not wrestle in college, and I had been a high school captain in wrestling. And as I was interviewing for my first job, I guess you must have to tell them that stuff. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, they had an opening in Windham, Minnesota for a junior high wrestling coach and a junior high track coach.
Okay.
And that was appealing. I hadn't given that much thought, but that kind of lit me up a bit. So I actually went to Windham, Minnesota my first year, 68, 69, and I really enjoyed it. And the head coach there, Lloyd Grandpre, actually had a background from Owatonna originally when he grew up. So there was a connection. And my wife wanted to go back to college. She had 3 years left, and a little tough to do from Windham, Minnesota. And I had an opportunity to come to Owatonna. And also, coincidentally, Owatonna had an opening for a junior high wrestling coach then, and when we had 2 junior highs, one here at Central, which we were down in the basement at the old school, and then we had the new junior high. And Lamprey talked to Dick, and somehow I passed muster, and they allowed me to take that junior high job at Central Junior High. Oh, wow. And so I did that for a year. And then Wayne Ebert, just a great guy who has since passed away, but a wonderful human being, decided to retire from wrestling as a coach. And so he was Dick's assistant, and that opened up. And so I had that opportunity, and I became Dick's assistant then.
Legendary coach Dick Black.
Dick Black, yeah. Yep. And I was with Dick from, till 1985, till he retired.
Oh, okay.
I missed 1 year. I was in the military, but other than that, I was with Dick that entire time. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So what was that like? You know, we get to hear
stories.
I was about to say we hear stories, but only from the wrestler side. What was it like to be, on shoulder to shoulder? Side. Yeah.
Most of them might have been true, but embellished.
Sure.
Shall we say?
Yeah.
No, Dick was, Dick was, he was hardcore, but a gentle soul too. On the other side, most people didn't know that. He grew flowers and he did all this stuff, and he was, but he was tough.
Yeah.
When I first started coaching with him, an interesting story for old wrestlers is that I had a couple coaches come up to me and say, "Do you realize that the guy you're coaching with is the reason that that the cross face has been limited in wrestling? Are you aware of that?" I said, "No." And said, well, there were a lot of serial broken noses in Iowa.
Oh, my gosh.
And they said, "We got to do something about this." And Dick is probably the reason it has a limitation at this point in time.
Wow, at a national level.
Yeah.
So he really wound up on it, huh?
Apparently, yeah. He started it from the floor, probably.
From Amstead County.
And they did let go of the leg. Chances are. Yeah. No, Dick was an interesting individual. I know one time after I had left teaching, I gathered the guys at my house after an Owatonna wrestling match with Faribault.
Okay.
And we had a bunch of old wrestlers there, and a bunch. And I overheard 2 of them say to each other, "Hey, would you take on Black yet?" Black was there. And he said, "How old is he?" And I said, 75. And they said, "That's not old enough." "No, not yet. No, awesome. Not yet." So Dick was, he was quite an individual. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and with the legendary work ethic and what he instilled, and definitely a high value moral fiber guy. I mean, that's, like you said, the old soul, all we ever hear is the extreme, but also the lesson inside of it.
He counseled a lot of kids that most people probably never knew about, that directed them down a different path in life.
As a fringe type
absolutely,
of.
Absolutely.
Okay.
He was, and I know with our kids, we always told them in the fall, if you're messing around in class, you're not doing your work, and there's teacher problems, you will learn about it down here. And so that was always part of that initial message every year.
Yeah. That is the one advantage about it's one of the only sports where you can hop in with those high schoolers and teach them a lesson manually if you have to.
Yep.
So.
Well, if kids were screwing around in the wrestling room, which happened on occasion, Dick would get them up front and demonstrate the guillotine on them.
Oh, yeah.
which in those days was legal.
Sure. Yep.
And so he would get them down there, and he'd start to cranking that arm until there were tears in their eyes. And as he's talking the whole time, and then as he let them go, he'd say, "Behave." And that pretty much ended most of that.
Lesson learned.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. So you coached until 1985.
When Dick retired in the spring of '85, that fall I had an opportunity to go out to Viracon, and I switched careers at that point.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And that was my last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I suppose it wasn't conducive to just the hours of.
No, it was a
school
brand new
practice
job, and I because of my teaching background, I was in kind of a training position where I was out there in all 3 shifts and different things like that. So
Okay.
there was no opportunity for that sort of thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Did you find a way to kind of stay involved with the sport, or over the years, or just kind of from a fan standpoint?
I basically I ended up in the sales end of things out there.
Sure.
And I traveled consistently, and I struggled to get back. I tried to see as many matches as I could, but it was limited.
Yeah. That company.
Yeah.
More successful you get, the farther away, and more frequent.
And there's nothing exciting about an airplane ride, but that's what you got to do.
Yep.
Right. Well, you said you were a high school wrestling captain. How about your career? Like, what did that look like? When did you start wrestling?
Well, I was a farm kid. Grew up on a dairy farm south of Cannon Falls, Minnesota, and the program had just started. In fact, I'm old enough. I'm 77. I went to a one-room school for 2 years, all 8 grades in one room. And as you look around here, can you imagine that?
Yeah, right.
And then I went to a consolidated rural school where we had maybe 10 kids per grade.
Okay.
And so when we were ready for the big move in 9th grade, we'd go to Cannon Falls, Minnesota.
Okay.
And the wrestling program had started probably a year before that with our Fayed coach, who had no wrestling background whatsoever. But he was our football coach, he was our track coach, and he decided with a bunch of farm kids around there, we should have a wrestling program.
Yeah.
So I give, his name was Mike McInerney, and he turned 90 just a couple of weeks ago. Great guy,
wow.
he's still alive.
Yeah.
And he got the program going. And with the limited background that we had, we held our own. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's good. So Cannon Falls, did you have like Goodhue? Like who was kind of your regular?
No, we were lucky enough to have Owatonna, Northfield, and Faribault
Baptized by fire there,
in our
huh?
district.
Yeah.
Not in our conference, but to get out of there.
Sure. So it was the one class, of course, at that time.
Yeah. And I would like to add one thing probably most people are not aware of is that Dick Black was instrumental in getting us more than one class of wrestling in Minnesota. He lobbied and worked really hard on that. He always said, the more kids that we can have as state champions, the more kids that go get us place winners, the more scholarships, the more it's going to be good. Yeah, Dick worked very hard at the state level to get that done.
Jeez, we learn something new every day.
A lot of legacy.
Yeah.
Beyond
information
what
that I
knew.
didn't even know.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
no, Dick worked hard behind the scenes too.
Oh, wow.
At the state level.
That's incredible. So you're in Arizona now these days, is that our understanding?
About 50-50, yeah.
50-50, okay.
Pretty lucky, yep.
Yeah, nice.
So this time of year, you're typically down there. You don't come back up for this, do
We
you?
do, yeah. We come back for Christmas.
Oh, wow. For Christmas, yes.
Christmas and the holidays, I'm a full-blooded Swede, so you have to get your annual dose of lutefisk just to see if you're okay. It's kind of like a physical.
Yep.
Right, yeah.
And, so we do come back for the holidays.
Oh,
And then we go back down.
Okay.
Yep.
So how many kids do you have?
I have 2 boys.
2 boys. Okay. Did they wrestle?
No,
or-
they're hockey players.
Hockey players. Okay.
Yeah. They all their buddies were hockey players,
Okay.
and I wasn't going to dictate.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
I said as long as you're involved, and
Yep.
they had fun, and that was
Okay.
they both played hockey for Owatonna.
Gotcha. What are they kind of around here now, or where are they?
Both in the metro
Okay.
area. Yep.
Gotcha.
So they're somewhat close.
Okay. Grandkids.
4.
4 of them. Are they ages? Are they involved in anything yet?
I've got an older grandchild, 26.
Okay.
26. Okay.
Okay.
And then my young son, if he'd have got married when he was supposed to, he wouldn't have kids this young. But he's so he's got 3 little girls.
Okay.
They're like junior high now in 5th
Okay.
grade and 3rd grade.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it seems like someone like you wouldn't just, retire and, not do anything. You seem like an active guy. What's kind of on your plate these days? What do you like to do? How do you spend your time?
Well, we live in an area down south where actually there's about 10 people from Owatonna in the area.
Really?
Yeah, and we
Okay.
live in a retirement community down there, and it is surrounded by 2 golf courses.
That's what I was going to ask.
Nice.
Yeah, and And so we, golf 3 times a week, maybe sometimes 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know too many wrestlers that are good golfers, and I'm not in that good golfer category.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of fun with it down there. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. And you said you're good pals with Kenny Sikora?
I kept in touch with Kenny over the years.
Okay.
Yeah, always have. And he and Jim Herzog, do you remember?
Yeah.
What's so sad? Jim was a good friend of mine here.
Oh,
And,
okay.
in fact, I was with him a week before he passed. And what a great guy.
Yes, he
for
is.
all sports in Owatonna.
Yes.
But when he first came here, Jim was about 200 pounds.
Really?
Yes. And you could light a match on him. And he was a wrestler all the way through, and he would come down during Kenny Sikora's time, and Kenny was about 185, maybe something like that, and they would go end over end down there in the wrestling room. I don't mean just kind of end over end. I mean end over end.
Yeah.
Kenny and Jim and they became friends also and stayed in touch.
Yeah.
In fact, when Jim was struggling this past summer and everything, Kenny'd go pick him up and
Sure.
take him around with some of his buddies, the Dave Henrys and
Yeah.
Bill Hartles and some of those
Absolutely.
guys. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jim's actually the reason I get decked out like this as a coach. I saw that growing up. He just always dapper in the community, no matter what it is, what event, sporting events, everything
Yeah.
like that. And so, coincidentally, he was at my very first head coach gig a few years ago at Faribault, an individual tournament. He comes up and he's like, "How are we looking?" and everything. And he's like, "You look good." And I go, "Well, you don't know that. I do this because of you." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I always admired being put together and kind of like that Tom Landry look, that kind of esteemed look and everything like that. But I knew exactly how dangerous he was. He would work me in racquetball down at Dino's all the time when I was in high school. Like, I thought I was, top of the heap, and all of a sudden, retired Jim Herzog just working me in that studio.
We had a story a couple of years ago where Jim came up to Kenny Sikora and he said, "Now, Kenny, tell me the truth. Back when we were going end over end, rolling around down there, you took it a little easy on me, didn't you? Because I was the athletic director, principal, and that sort of thing." And Kenny said, "Oh, no, Mr. Herzog, if I could have beat the Nardi, I would have." That was Kenny, and that was Jimmy. Yeah. We're going to miss him big time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jim, my senior year when I dislocated my elbow, his car, he ran his car. That's how I got to the hospital. Was him. All of a sudden, I'm walking out of the high school gym. TC had me all wrapped up. I'm still in a singlet. It's January, freezing cold out, and here I get into his Cadillac in the back seat, leather, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, all right, we're take off, and all of a sudden I look over. Jim was driving. My dad's in the passenger seat. Here's my little sister who's like 5, sitting next to me. I'm like, how the heck did you get in this car? Get to the hospital. He pulls right into the ambulance, hits the automatic door thing, opens up. He drives right in. The nurse comes out. You can't be in here. And he goes, he's got to get out. So we're all getting out of the car. And my little sister looks up and goes, "Thanks for the ride, Jimmy."
Jimmy.
Yeah, nobody calls him Jimmy. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I still hadn't had my shot yet to take care of the pain.
Sure.
And I'm like, that's one of the last things I remember.
Yeah.
But then having Jim just as a principal, just at the sporting event,
He went to
fly in. And I mean, he pulled right up onto the sidewalk. I didn't even have to walk out to the road, but having him there, that was great.
No, in fact, we had him a dinner in our house just a few days before he passed, with some other people from town, and just a wonderful human being. Yep.
Yeah. He's going to be very, very missed. Already is. But,
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, do you have? I don't know if you know this term. Do you have any shout outs that you want to make? Anybody you want to recognize, say hello to on the podcast here?
I don't know about to say hello to one shout out I'd like to do that goes way back in time. Was when I first came here in '69 and '70, there was nothing going on at elementary wrestling wise. Your dad was a big part of that. But way back, even before that, we had a principal named Dean Sanderson.
Dean Sanderson at Wilson.
At Wilson or Lincoln. And Dean had a wrestling background. And I traveled from school to school back with my job back then, and he, because he knew the other elementary principals, he let me set up and have a wrestling all-school assembly in every elementary school back then. So I'd bring a couple captains in the full gear and everything. And I always said, you throw, at that point there were no girls involved, but I said, you throw a dozen boys in a room for 20 minutes, there will be a wrestling match. So we might as well control this thing.
Sure.
And but he let me do that thanks to him. And then he also started the first kind of program in the OHS wrestling room with about maybe 15 kids on a Saturday morning.
Okay.
And then, together with Park and Rec, we started our first thing, and that was Dean's thing too. It's called the Termite Tumble.
Yes.
I remember wrestling in that.
Yeah.
I wrestled it.
What a day that was. I put posters in all the elementary schools. It's coming soon, the Termite Tumble. I didn't tell them what it was. Then next week I'd add a little something. So about 3 weeks we pumped this thing up. And we were expecting maybe 50, 60 kids at the high school, and we ended up with like 125 kids showed up.
Yeah.
And to show you how long ago that was, one of the first kids that came up way before you're supposed to weigh in that morning, came up and tugged on my pants and said, "Where do you weigh in?" I looked, I said, "Who are you?" "David Sikora."
Oh, wow.
Ribbit. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and all the wrestlers, but that together with Park and Rec got that going. And then after that, Park and Rec got involved, and then we got started on a small scale with wrestling in the old junior high wrestling room here and in the senior high wrestling room.
Yep.
But it was just, maybe you guys were part of that. And it was usually dads that were doing the coaching. Yeah.
Yep, I was part of that,
Yeah.
the little Park and Rec.
And then your dad got involved, and,
and
then
Larry.
Scott Davis, and grew it to every school having their own program, which
Keith
is wonderful.
Bowie and-
But a lot of that happened because of Dean Sanderson. So there's a guy a name you don't hear much, but deserves a lot of credit for getting all that thing going in the beginning, way back when. Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Dean Sam. Yeah, and he was my principal, and I remember too.
was he?
Okay. Yep. So my freshman year, I think he was just getting ready to retire at Wilson. I was still coming. My mom was a para there.
Oh, really?
And so he was just all about it. Just knew it, all the stats of everyone.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, how are you going to do against so and so? Like, he was just such a big fan.
Yeah,
so,
no, he was a great individual. We lost him early too.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we did.
But a great supporter of Owatonna wrestling.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for flying all the way up here just to do this podcast. We appreciate that dedication. No, it was a pleasure to have you, and especially, like I said, the insight for Coach Black was incredible too. Because I mean, geez, I
didn't know that.
No clue. As many people as we've talked to, no
Yes.
clue about that stuff. So, yeah. Well, and it sounds like you're going to be here for the Faribault meet on Thursday.
Kenny Sikora is picking me up.
There
as a
we
matter of
go.
fact. Yes,
There we go.
yes, we'll be there.
All right.
Yes, for
Sounds
sure.
good. Well, it was my
thank
pleasure
you.
meeting you, honestly.
Yeah,
It was
pleasure meeting
incredible.
you.
And hearing that. And thank you again to our sponsors, Summer Media Solutions, as always. And we hope that everyone's here. We even have a Friday Night Rumble for youth on Friday night. So it's like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
is full wrestling here
Boom.
in Owatonna.
Come help, come watch, have fun, and enjoy the new facilities too. So thank you much.
Have a good one.